Hello. This practice is something to get you out of your chair, especially if you are finding that nowadays you're more often in front of a computer, watching TV, and so this is something to help kind of unwind some of that and feel a little bit more invigorated in your body. So I'm going to ask you to please come up to a standing position. And we're just going to take a moment and just kind of play with our weight shift in our feet. So rocking a little forward, rocking a little bit back, and then rocking a little bit side to side. Just letting your weight spill in the feet. And then maybe even circling around, feeling how the weight shifts from left to right, right to left, coming around, going into the other direction. And then from all those weight shifts, can you kind of find a place where you feel most balanced, steady, and rooted? You're going to settle into that if you need to kind of bend and straighten the knees a little bit. And we're going to come into heel raises, and we're going to time that with our breath. So I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see what's going on with my feet. But we're going to let ourselves, on an inhale, shift your weight towards the balls of the feet. Maybe lift your arms forward and up. And then exhale, bring the heels back down. And we're going to continue with that. Inhale to lift up to rise, letting your arms float up a comfortable height. And exhale, returning back down. Let yourself do one more here, floating into the up. Gently cascading down to standing. And now we're going to try to hold it for a few breaths. Inhale, come forward and up. See if you can have weight on the base of your big toes. As you inhale, feel like the crown of the head could reach up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, maybe feel a sense of pulling your lower belly in to support your back. You're just going to spend another breath here. And then as you exhale, bring your arms down. Take a moment to reconnect the feet to the floor. Maybe feel if there's a little bit more activity, circulation down in the feet, in the ankles, in the calves. And then we were just using our calf muscles, so now we're going to stretch them out. So what you're going to want to do is grab yourself a blanket, a pillow, something that's soft that has a little bit of a lift. And in general, the higher the object, the taller, the more intense this is going to be. So you can use that to grade whether you need to go lower or go higher to have the sensation you want. So you'll bring that blanket down, and we're going to start by stretching our left calf. So you're going to take the ball of your foot, of the left foot, bring it up onto that blanket. So the heel's down and the ball of the foot is up on the blanket. Now, if you are standing tall here and you're already feeling a sensation of some stretch here in the back of the lower leg, then you get to stay here. If, though, you want to go a little bit deeper into the sensation, what you'll do is you'll take your right leg and step it maybe in line with that left leg, and if sensation arises, you would stay here. If you want to deepen that sensation even more, you're going to step it forward into a mini lunge here. Okay, and you're still trying to keep that back left heel down into the ground. And you can rest your hands by your side or by your hips. Now you can keep adjusting front foot forward, back until you find that just right stretch. And letting yourself breathe here. Chances are you'll know when you find it. It kind of comes in pretty quick. Okay, you're going to take one more breath here. And then we will step our feet together. And before you come to the other side, just take a moment and notice how your foot feels the floor on the left, the right. Does it feel any different? I know my left foot's feeling a little bit more solid, a little bit more grounded. So you might have that sensation, or maybe it's something else for you, but just notice. And then we will do this on the other side. And I'll just turn sideways so you can see what that feels or looks like. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do is now take the ball of your right foot onto the blanket. Okay, again, so heel is down on the floor, ball of foot on the blanket. You're going to let yourself stand tall. You want to avoid kind of hinging forward. If you've already got some sensation here, stay here. You could also play around with taking that left foot and stepping it more forward underneath you, or maybe even into a bit of a lunge here. Okay, you're trying to square your hips off. Again, kind of notice if there's a little twist. and breathing in here. And so this is a nice way just to kind of, often when we're not moving through our feet or ankles, they tend to get a little bit of stiffness. So we're trying to stretch them out. This also can help with balance. The more flexible you are on the ankles, the more that they will respond appropriately when we start to kind of lose our balance and correct our balance when we are walking and navigating our way around the world. And so we'll take one more breath here. And then you'll step off the blankets and take a little check-in here. How do the feet feel now? You've stretched both. Is there any change in what you felt when we first started when you were checking in with your feet? And then we will move our blanket out of the way. And we're going to come into a side bend, get a little bit more kind of breathing room through our waist and our rib cage. So you can let your feet go a little bit wider than hip distance apart. Maybe turn the toes slightly out. It's not much, maybe like a big toe width. You're going to place your right hand on the top of your pelvis, and then your left hand's going to come up, palm facing up. And we're just going to start with a simple side bend. So you're going to inhale to grow tall, and then as you exhale, you're going to side bend to the right, and then inhale, come back to center. And you're going to exhale. If you want, you can add the arm into this, going up and over, and then slowly coming back and down. Now, if you want, you can also lift that left heel and then bring that left heel down. So you decide, as we do this a few more times, do you want to just tilt your torso? Do you want to add the arm? Do you want to add the heel lift? Okay. Different days you may crave a different variation. And now the next time that we are up and over, let yourself stay here. And now you could take that heel, if you made that choice for it to go up, now keep everything where it is, and can you bring that left heel down to the ground? You might feel a little deepening of the stretch in the side waist when you do that. And then with this top arm, you may want to stay with this little arc. Maybe it feels better to do the oh, woe is me, resting your forearm on your forehead, or maybe your hand behind your head where you press your head back. Let yourself enjoy one more breath here. And then we're going to come back into center. Let that arm come down. Take a moment. Notice what that side feels like. Is there a change in sensation? Maybe note it. Kind of how would you describe it? And now we'll balance it out going to the other side. So please bring your left hand onto the top of your pelvis. We're going to take the right hand, palm facing up here, or forward I should say. And then we're going to just start by side bending over to your left. And you could stay here if this feels really good, like this. Come back into center as you inhale. If you want to add the arm as you exhale, you side bend to the left and carve the arm. Inhale back into center. If you want to lift that right heel up, it can come up and then letting it sink back down when you pull back down. And now do this a few more times. Again, adding the layers that feel appropriate today, but making sure that you can stay connected to your breath, your inhale up and over, your exhale coming down. And now we're going to hold this side bend stretch. And if you had made the choice to bring the heel up, go ahead and sink it back down in the ground. And then you can stay here. You could bend the elbow and maybe the hand on your forehead feels nice. Maybe hand behind your head feels nice. So again, exploring the variations. One more breath here. And then we'll slowly bring ourselves back into center. Let that arm rest down. And now notice any kind of residual sensations in your rib cage after those movements, after those stretches. And notice, is this something that you might like to do sprinkled throughout your day to kind of free up some tension maybe in the sides of your rib cage underneath your armpits? From here, we're going to move into some shoulder movements. So you're going to bring your shoulders up towards your ears, and then as you exhale, let them roll back and down. So your inhale lifts them, The exhale kind of brings them down as if you're sinking them down into your back hip pockets. And now you can choose to keep this small if that sensation feels really nice. You could also make it a little bit bigger by bringing your hands onto your shoulders and circling around, letting the movement happen from the shoulder blades. And if you feel like you want to make it even a little bit bigger, you can sweep your arms up and around, kind of this quality of taking off a sweater or a sweatshirt. And then we'll let ourselves do one more here. And now we're gonna explore one shoulder at a time with something called undulations. So you're gonna bring your awareness to your left shoulder blade, and maybe imagine that it is a bar of soap. It's all lathered up. And then what you're gonna do is move that shoulder blade as if you're trying to scrub your upper back, trying to get into all the nooks and crannies in between the ribs there. And so your arm could be elbow bent or straight, but you're trying to move in kind of different ways maybe than you normally do. This often can help free up some tension that you might be holding in that area. You can imagine maybe you're scribbling or you're finger painting with your shoulder blade. Remembering to breathe, and you can move your head and your neck here so you don't have to be static by any means in other parts of your body. And then you can let that arm relax. Maybe notice if there's a little bit more circulation, a little bit more kind of freedom of movement. And then coming to the other side, so taking your right shoulder blade, start to kind of move it around. Now, if it feels awkward, it's supposed to be, it's okay. And that helps you kind of move and free up some places. If you need some help trying to figure out how to move it, sometimes I will pretend that I am writing the alphabet with my shoulder blade. That definitely helps me move in different ways. Okay. There you go. And again, if other parts of your body kind of want to flow into that, let that happen. You're trying to make your body a little bit more fluid, especially if you've been sitting around, being more static of late. Okay. And then let the shoulders relax. Notice if there's a little bit more spaciousness in that upper back area. And now we're going to come into Warrior One. So this is good because it's a lunge and it's going to stretch out our hip flexors, which when we're sitting get really tight. Also, when we tend to be kind of fearful, we kind of curl up and that tightens things. So we're trying to move in the opposite direction. So what we'll do is we'll step left leg back, right leg forward. Okay, and we're going to make this dynamic. We're going to try to move to counteract if we've been more sedentary of late. And so the arm gesture I'm going to offer here is you're going to bring your arms out to the side. Your elbows are slightly bent. Okay, and then you're going to bend your front knee. All right, so you're going to get a nice solid stance here. And now moving with your arms, what you're going to do is as you exhale, bring your elbows down towards your waist. And as you inhale, let them extend out. So you're going to exhale to pull down and in. Inhale to expand out. Now while I'm doing this, I'm thinking of my thumbs pulling back, which engages my rotator cuff and also helps me open up my chest a little bit. Do this a couple more times. And then what I'd like you to do is pause where you're feeling the most interesting sensation of stretch along the chest and the arms. That feels like this best quality of opening for you at this particular moment. And can you, as you inhale, feel a sense of expanding? And as you exhale, just stay connected to your center. Maybe pull the belly slightly in. You're going to do this for another breath or so. If you want, your gaze can be forward or even slightly up on the horizon. And then on your next exhale, arms will come down. You'll step your feet together. And then we'll come over to the second side, and I'll just give you a side view of that. So we're coming into our Warrior One lunge stance, squaring the hips off. If you need a shorter stance to do that, you can bring that back foot in. You're going to bend your front knee. And then from here, you're going to bring your arms out to the side, elbows slightly bent, thumbs pulling back. And then on an inhale, you extend the arms out, get a little wider, and then exhale, draw the elbows back in. So inhale to open, And exhale to come back in. And now each time you do this, especially on the out, can you feel like you are filling the room with your presence? And as you come in, you still keep that fullness of presence in the chest, in the heart. And then again, check in, see where it feels good in your body to hold, where there feels like that quality of spaciousness across the chest, across the arms, and it's also comfortable on your shoulders today. Enjoy a few more breaths here. And then as you exhale, let the arms come down. Step your legs in. Notice if there's a little bit more kind of like energy in your system. And then we're going to be moving into chair pose. Now I'm going to offer the arm variation that we're going to be doing. It has a moving component, a flow. And if you're someone that has sensitive knees and bending back into chair doesn't work, then you could just do the arms. So the arms for this are going to be a goalpost shape. And as you do this, you may find that you want to bring your elbows a little lower, a little bit higher, but the highest we're going is about shoulder height here, okay? So then from here, what you're going to do is take the goalpost arms, and as you exhale, you're going to bring them in towards each other. So the forearms are coming towards each other. Maybe they stay separated, or perhaps for you, they come together. So you inhale, lead with the thumbs, open up, open the chest. And then as you exhale, you bring the elbows back forward. All right, so that's going to be our arm movement. Let's do it one more time. Exhale, pull inward with the arms and maybe the belly. And inhale, opening up. Nice. All right, so if you want, we can add our chair pose, also known as awkward pose, where we're going to sit back as if you're sitting back in an imaginary chair. So you do this, make sure that you're hinging from your hips and not rounding from your back to get there. That's just a little healthier for your spine. So we're in our goalpost arms, okay? And then we're going to slowly, as you exhale, pull your belly in, sit your hips back, and then bring your forearms towards each other. On an inhale, stand tall, opening the arms. Exhale, letting yourself sit back, pulling your front lower ribs in, pushing into the heels as you come up. And now one more here, moving, exhaling down, inhale, opening, and then if you want, we can hold it to cultivate a little bit more strength in the thighs. So you're going to come down, and now just move the arms. Inhale, open the arms, exhale, pull the belly, the arms in. Inhale, open, try to avoid popping your ribs too much or arching your back too much. There's still a little bit of tone in your belly to support your back. Okay, try one more here. And then on your next inhale, let yourself come on up. Let the arms relax down. Feel that residual effect of working the thighs, of opening the chest, maybe working the upper back, which might have been slumping today. And now that's going in the other direction. So hopefully that feels balancing. And then from here, we're going to stretch the top of our feet. Now, if you have good balance, you don't need to hold on to anything, but if you feel wobbly, you can always hold on to the back of a chair, preferably one that doesn't have wheels, though. You don't want it to slide out underneath you. We can put your hands on a counter, a table. So do what you need to do to feel balanced. What we're going to do is you're going to stand tall and mountain, and then you're going to pick one foot, step it back behind you, pointing the toes, and let the top of the foot touch down onto the floor. Now you may, if you're on a hardwood floor, use some padding because sometimes it might feel a little uncomfortable to have the bones right there of your foot right there on the hard floor. So cushion is perfectly okay. Okay, and then from here, look back. See that your foot's kind of neutral. It's not heel going out or heel going in. It's kind of straight back behind you. And what you're trying to do is feel a little bit of a sense of stretch across the top of your foot. At the same time, you're creating a little bit of room on the front of your thigh. And you can kind of play with how far back you want to be, or if you need to be a little bit closer, you can always bend your knee and bring that foot more underneath you. That's a little less weight on the top of the foot, which might be a better entry point for you. So please do respect that. And then we'll try this to the other side. Take your other foot, bring it back behind you, toes pointed, letting it rest. trying to square off the hips. And again, just kind of check, see that your foot is more neutral. You're not kind of bending out or in at the ankle. If you need to lessen the amount of weight, you can bend your knee. You can add more padding to cushion the top of your foot. You want to be able to breathe in this, so we could engage in conversation in a relaxed manner if we wanted to. So see what you need to do to make it that way. And then we'll bring that foot underneath us. Okay, a few more little stretches for the hips. So this, you're going to step your legs a little bit wider than hip distance apart. And you can play around with, do you want your toes more straight ahead or maybe a little bit turned out? And this is just sliding your hips from side to side with a little upswing at the end. Okay. So what we're doing is we're moving our pelvis over our thigh bones, kind of lubricating our hip joints. They can get stiff if we're sitting a lot. So one way to access this is you could just do straight side to side. If you'd like to move more into circles, what you can do is you can do hip circles where you're circling around. So you could imagine a hula hoop. You're doing a slow motion hula hoop motion. I also sometimes will imagine I'm standing inside a barrel. I'm scraping the inside of that barrel. I have some strange visualizations, but I think that works a little bit. And then we're going to come to the other direction if you're circling. Now as you're moving, if you find there's one place that feels particularly sticky, you can pause and you can kind of move back and forth over that. Kind of give it a little bit of special attention. And then the other thing you can do is just do like figure eights, or you can think infinity signs. Kind of one circle on one hip, another circle on the other. You can go both directions, so moving forward, moving back. And then we'll come back into center. And the last thing we'll offer is, this is called wall dog. It's based on downward facing dog in yoga. Now you could do this facing a counter, facing a wall, a chair. And so what will happen is you'll bring your hands onto the support. And again, if it's a wall, you'd be up a little bit higher. And then what you'll do is you'll slowly walk your hips back until you start to feel a nice stretch along the back line of your body. So some people might feel it more in their back, their shoulders. Some might feel it more in the backs of the legs. Now, if you're at the wall, as you walk your hips back, you're going to have to walk your hands down. Okay? And so for some of us, we might walk back just a little bit. Some of us might walk a little bit further so that you come into like this 90-degree angle. And then you can relax your head in between the arms. Now while you're here, you can kind of play around with, do you need to bend the knees, straighten the legs? Maybe you bend one knee and then switch over to the other side. But find a place that kind of feels good, that gives a little bit more space in your back body. And then when that feels like enough, you'll just walk back. Come to standing. And then maybe, if you have some time, go for a walk. Do something outside in nature, or if you have to go back to work or to a seated position, at least you've taken a little time to take care of you, to kind of detense your body and be well. Thanks for practicing with me.